Part 45. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 441. It sounded like some kind of mechanical collision, very similar to the sound of a foundation machine. There were also various loud rumbling sounds, which sounded very similar to the roar of industrial machines. After looking around the surrounding environment, Lin Yi followed the induction in his devouring thief soul and looked to the north of the city. He searched around the top floor of the building and found the stairs of the building under his feet and walked down. This staircase is an external staircase, all made of pure steel. Each staircase has a platform, corresponding to the corridors on the building. The building he is in has a total of 4 floors, not high, but about 12 meters, and the whole is made of red bricks and cement. A strong industrial style hits him. Is this world a bit steampunk? This is interesting. Lin Yi showed a playful look on his face and stood on the street downstairs. It was already evening, the sky was full of dark clouds, only faint light was transmitted down, and there were few people on the road. You can see many people in black windbreakers passing by in a hurry, and they seem to be in a hurry to go home. The city here doesn't seem to have any special colors. It's all red bricks, gray cement, and black roads and people. Everything looks so alternative and hardcore, and there is an inexplicable familiar feeling, the texture of civilization. Lin Yi walked along the street to the north of the city, sensing the direction that attracted his spirit in his mind. Soon he passed through one dark asphalt road after another. Finally he came to an area full of luxury houses. The luxury houses here are completely different from the red brick buildings in other parts of the city. Most of them are white marble and colorful building materials. At this time, he stopped in front of a huge 3-story 15-meter mansion. Outside the mansion is a black iron fence wall, and the fence is full of sharp barbs, which makes anyone who tries to climb it daunting. The exterior of the mansion looks all black, like a black fortress, filled with a solemn atmosphere. Lin Yi stood in front of the mansion building, looking at this building, and nodded thoughtfully. It looks like a good background, strong enough. After it's done, you can ask the people here to find a suitable place for me, and then move the Wanchaiwu according to the situation. But this method should not be used easily until the last moment. It's okay as a backup safety measure. Thinking about the next arrangements in his mind, Lin Yi's eyes kept flickering and changing. The light of the true destiny boundless flickered slightly, and at the same time, the power of the true destiny root was also flashing. The magic man immortal path was activated, and all the energy in his body turned into hazy and psychedelic energy. He looked like a dream, like a ghost. Under the power of the true destiny boundless, he silently passed through the iron fence and entered the mansion. Following his own induction, he quietly moved towards his goal under the cover of the green plants in the mansion. Soon he came to a secret garden in the mansion, where a woman in a black dress was sitting on a stone bench. She had a very delicate appearance, black hair to her waist, a slightly frowned forehead, big eyes, white skin like jade, and very thin eyelashes. With a sad face and her cherry lips tightly pursed, she was filled with a sad atmosphere, but she was also always shrouded in a noble and inviolable temperament. Judging from her appearance, she was about 20 years old, with a slender figure, a surging figure, and a black dress. The cold beauty had an impressive figure. Any man could not stand the natural charm of such a woman. Although the sadness seemed deep, it could not affect her temperament or shake her spirit. At this time, Lin Yi had come behind her silently. This woman was the one who signed a contract with him. Kurori. Good evening, beautiful lady, I came as promised. The faint voice woke up the beautiful woman, and she quickly got up and turned to look at Lin Yi who appeared behind her. She felt a pull and immediately knew who Lin Yi was. He was a great existence who had signed a contract with her. Although she didn't know Lin Yi at all, she instinctively knew who the person in front of her was. The woman's face was slightly calm, and then she stood up straight, holding her skirt with both hands. She raised her head slightly, bent her body slightly, and performed a lady's etiquette. "Great being, my name is Kurori, and I am the one who signed a contract with you. Thank you very much for coming." Lin Yi took off his hat and returned a gentleman's etiquette. "Hello, contractor, my name is Lin Yi, a person who can fulfill wishes. Then let's get straight to the point. I have a general understanding of the whole incident, and now let's start to solve it." Hearing this, Kurori showed a hint of surprise in her eyes. "Now, sir, don't you need to rest first?" Lin Yi shook his head. "My time is limited, let's make a quick decision." Looking at the decisive Lin Yi, Kurori couldn't help feeling a little excited. Family affairs are like a heavy chain that locks her here, and at the same time, it is like a huge stone pressing on her heart. Recently, she has been anxious about how to solve the crisis in front of her. Their family's rivals have issued an ultimatum. If they do not make compensation tomorrow, they will officially enter the litigation stage. At the same time, their family's business will be attacked in various ways. Now his father has been seriously injured and has gone into hiding. Even she doesn't know where his father is. She only knows that her father is the last hope of the family. As long as he is not dead, there is still a chance for everything. But if her father dies, then their family will never have any chance again. In fact, she herself is not sure whether her father is still alive or has died in a dark corner. But considering her family, even if her father is gone, she can only struggle to support it. She has mobilized all the relationships of her family in the city. She has summoned all the loyal family members and prepared enough weapons. If what she expected really happened, she would not hesitate to fight to the end, and she would make her opponent pay a huge price even if she died. The anxiety during this period of time has actually made her a little unbearable, and she is even ready to die. Looking at Lin Yi, who suddenly appeared in front of her, Liwi felt a familiar sense of security. Someone is there to protect him from the wind and rain and take on unknown risks. This familiar feeling comes from his father. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 442. Although her father had disappeared without a trace at this time. Thinking of her father, her eyes dimmed slightly again, but she suddenly regained consciousness. She knew that now was not the time to be confused, so she immediately said to Lin Yi, "Excuse me, what do you want to do?" Lin Yi glanced at Xuanhuan. He could see the other person's distraction just now, but he didn't care what the other person was thinking. There are only two things we have to do. Writing this, I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow. Point 1 is the contract issue. Since they were deceived into signing it, if the contract is no longer there, they will have no way to sue, and the trap will be useless. Second point, as long as you deal with the master of your rival family, you will be safe. After I solve all the above 2 points, do you have the confidence to clean up the mess? Hearing Lin Yi's words, Kuri's pupils shrank slightly. She could feel the blood contained in these words. At the same time, Wei Wei is a little excited. Since the other party dares to say this, he must be absolutely sure to do so. She nodded heavily, held her head high, looked straight at Lin Yi and said, "As long as you can do the above 2 points, I can definitely clean up the mess and save the situation. Our Blackstone family and its Blackstone group still have some influence in the city." Kuri knew very well that she had mobilized all the connections, but almost no one was really willing to send people to support their family. However, there are still people who will provide them with support materials secretly. After all, no one wants a single-handed group to control the entire city. Although they dare not go against the explicit help given by another force to the Blackstone group. But secretly, all kinds of information and materials of unknown origin will be sent to the Blackstone group. If the mysterious existence in front of me can really do the above 2 points, Then Kuri can rely on her own connections to immediately mobilize all relevant personnel to bring the situation back. The enemy who suffered heavy losses could only suffer this loss. Hearing Kuri Hui's assurance, Lin Yi nodded slightly. If you can do it, then things will be easy to handle. First, tell me all the information about the hostile company. For example, who is their leader? Where is the company? Where is this contract usually placed? And where does the master live? I'll sort it all out tonight. Lin Yi's vigorous and resolute actions made Kuri feel a little excited. The battle was about to begin, and there was a trace of fighting spirit in his eyes. Sir, please come with me. I have all the documents ready. Following Kuri Hui, Lin Yi and her soon arrived at an office in the Black Mansion. Lin Yi was sitting on the sofa. Kuro took out 2 documents from the complicated documents in the office, looked at them carefully, and came to Lin Yi. He respectfully handed the documents to Lin Yi and said expressionlessly, one of the documents is the residence of the enemy company, the strongest master of the Steam Group, as well as his detailed cultivation, abilities, etc. The other document is an analysis I did on where Steam Group would place the contract. Generally speaking, Steam Group has an archive room specifically used to store contracts. But now that it involves us at Blackstone, this contract is a huge trap. The Steam Group will definitely not leave it lying around. According to the information I got and some obscure channels, this document should be placed in the safe at the bottom of the Steam Group headquarters. It's a huge vault made of reinforced concrete and earth. It is said that the reinforced concrete walls there are at least 3 meters thick. There are also mysterious magic circles that can resist the entry of invisible beings, specifically targeting the souls of ghosts and immortals or invisible resentful demons. And there are heavily armed security guards guarding the place 24 hours a day. There are at least 100 people there, and they can almost start a small war. I also thought about destroying this contract. But given that the combat power there is too strong, going in hastily would probably result in the entire army being annihilated, so I didn't do that. Lin Yi glanced at Kuri. Her cultivation level was the 2nd level of Immortal Deo, and she was definitely a master in this world. Even the Red Lotus realm is not considered weak, so for her to be so afraid, one can imagine how powerful the opponent is. The strongest expert in the Steam Group is their group chairman, Dongfang Ming. He is a perfect master of the 1st level of Ghost Immortal Deo. He condenses 7 souls and ignores all physical damage. And there is also a mysterious magic weapon on him, which is specially designed to hurt people's souls and kill people invisible. My father was seriously injured and disappeared because of his hasty plot. Basically, he lives on the top floor of the Steam Group headquarters building, which is his private high-rise villa. The entire building is patrolled by heavily armed guards 24 hours a day. There are even rocket launchers guarding the airspace, so anyone who tries to get close from the air will be hit. Lin Yi nodded when he heard this. These 2 things can be done together, since they are both at the headquarters of the Steam Group. Let's go, take me there. Hearing this, He Lui was slightly stunned and looked at Lin Yi. Are we just going straight there? Lin Yi glanced at him, with a half-smile on his face. Are you scared? He Lui nodded calmly. Yes, I'm afraid I'll never come back, because there are still many people behind me, I can't afford to lose. Lin Yi looked at the serious He Lui and his eyebrows jumped. That's right, after all, you can't completely trust an unknown existence. Then it's very simple, you just find someone to lead the way for me, you stay here. Hearing this, He Lui's eyes showed a trace of astonishment. Lin Yi's words once again exceeded her expectations. She nodded silently. I'll arrange someone for you immediately. About a few minutes later, a black carriage left the mansion. He Lui stood in front of the gate and looked at the carriage going away, with a trace of uncertainty in her eyes. He seems to be just a human, but there is something different. That mysterious door appeared out of nowhere, it must be composed of unknown forces. I can feel the connection with this person, and the feeling of being from the same source as that door. This person must come from some unknown time and space. I hope he can really do it. Changing and saving my family may be the only hope, Kurori said with a lonely expression. In the black carriage, a middle-aged man about 40 years old, wearing a black suit, looked at Lin Yu respectfully without looking away. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 443. Sir, the headquarters of Steam Group is in the north of the city. A fortress-like building was built there, using the latest building materials, but with a splendid appearance. Legend has it that the building can even defend against artillery fire. Once you get close to there will be people within 300 meters of you. We have to get off the carriage early when we reach that area. Lin Yi nodded indifferently. I just need to know which building it is. You can go back after I get off the bus. The middle-aged man was stunned when he heard this, but thinking of the lady's instructions, he nodded immediately. Yes, sir. Lin Yi looked at the outside world through the carriage's glass. It is late at night, and there are kerosene street lamps on both sides of the road. The carriage made a slight friction on the road. The sound of the wheels turning and the trampling of the horses' hooves seemed very harsh in this deep night. There were almost no pedestrians on the street, and the lights of the surrounding buildings were basically off. Lin Yi's eyes shone with the brilliance of the true meaning of life, and he was observing the world. In his eyes, the energy of this world is very active. It's about the same time as the second world change in the Red Lotus realm. The energy in the air contains rich spirituality. However, he also noticed something in this rich energy. The breath of strange power is looming in the air of this world. This phenomenon suddenly shocked him. The weird aura of this world seems to be stronger than that of the Red Lotus world. Could it be that there are strange beings appearing in this world? But it seems like the world is very peaceful. Could it be that it's a resentful demon in this world? As I guessed, it's a strange existence. Thinking of this, he looked at the middle-aged man in the carriage who was leading him. May I have your name? Upon hearing this, the man immediately said, My name is Luther. Luther, let me ask you a question. Sir, please tell me. I will tell you everything I know. Lin Yi said casually, Have you heard of any strange events? For example, there are unknown creatures or invisible ghosts, or events such as the resurrection of the dead. When Luther heard this, a strange look appeared in his eyes. Sir, I have never heard of these things. Although things about various resentful demons happen from time to time, nothing like what Mr. said has ever happened. Are you here the only practitioners and resentful demons who can master power beyond the ordinary? Luther nodded and said, Yes, sir. I have only heard that people can gain strength through practice. Resentment demons are existences that arise from emotional outbursts after death. There is no other creature that can wield power. Lin Yi nodded when he heard this. Then have you heard of some items that are naturally powerful? It's not a magic weapon, but something that seems ordinary but contains wonderful power. When Luther heard this, he suddenly realized, Sir, you must be talking about magical items. Mysterious item? Is that what you call this thing here? Luther thought for a while and said, Mysterious items are things found in some mysterious ruins. These items inherently contain all kinds of wonderful abilities, and can even ignore the power of practitioners. Some can heal, some can produce lethality, and some can even affect the cause and effect of time and space, etc. It is the most magical item in the world. Every time it appears, it attracts countless people to fight for it. Then it triggered large-scale chaos, and even wars between countries once occurred because of the emergence of magical items. We at Blackstone Group have also collected information in this regard. But magical items are very rare. Even our Blackstone Group, which has a pivotal position in the city, has never obtained one. Lin Yi was thoughtful when he heard this. In other words, there are rumors about it everywhere in the world, but not many people have actually seen it, right? When Luther heard this, he smiled and nodded. That's what I mean. Lin Yi nodded and stopped talking. Some thoughts flashed through his mind. There are actually weird objects in this world, and they are all excavated from ruins. This is very strange. There are ruins in this world, and there are strange things in the ruins, which is a bit interesting. Thinking of this, a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. What's going on with those ruins? After hearing this, Luther thought for a while. We don't know the origin of the ruins, but according to the speculations of some scientists, it is at least tens of millions of years old. Tens of millions of years of history? Are you right? Nothing can be preserved for such a long time. Luther also smiled awkwardly when he heard this. I'm not too sure about the specific reason. I just heard the lady mention this matter by chance. It is said that these ruins have existed for tens of millions of years. Scientists have speculated through a certain method. Moreover, those ruins are basically protected by some kind of power, so they can be preserved forever. It is very mysterious. Hearing this, Lin Yi had an idea in his mind. Perhaps the root explanations for some strange existences can be found in these ruins in this world. Thinking of this, a hint of expectation appeared in his eyes. If the acacia bell can work in this world, then the ruins of this world will be his key exploration target. The ruins that were related to the strange power tens of millions of years ago should have something. About half an hour later, the carriage suddenly stopped on the road. Luther looked outside, and his face quickly became solemn. Sir, we will enter the sphere of influence of the steam group if we go further ahead. From now on, we have to get off the car and act. We have to go through some alleys to avoid these surveillance personnel. Only after approaching 200 meters can we see the headquarters of the steam group. Lin Yi naturally had no objection, and the two got off the carriage. There was a slightly pungent smell in the air. Looking at the street that stretched forward, the dim street lights made the whole world seem so quiet and mysterious. Sir, please go this way. Luther took Lin Yi to a small alley next to him. He seemed very familiar with this place. Alley after alley, under his guidance, they were familiar with the route. After about a few minutes, they came to the intersection of a street. They hid at the exit of the alley at the intersection, and Luther pointed to a building at the end of the street and said, "The house of everything I created." Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 444. Sir, that building is the headquarters of the steam group. The leader of the steam group usually lives on the top floor of this building. And the underground vault of the building stores the most precious items of the steam group. Lin Yi looked at the building, which was 200 meters away from him and was very conspicuous. It was decorated with golden and magnificent lights, and it was the brightest attraction on this street. Patrolmen with guns could be seen around the building. They wore black uniforms, their leather shoes were polished, they all had short hair, were burly, and were in high spirits. You can tell at a glance that they are all elites, not ordinary security guards or weaklings. Lin Yi looked at Luther. You go back, I will come back by myself after I finish solving it later. Luther heard this, his face was slightly worried, and then he said, Sir, otherwise I'd better meet you here. Lin Yi glanced at him lightly, knowing that this was probably Kurori who wanted to see what he would do. Dan Mo smiled, it's up to you. After saying that, the power of true destiny was already flashing, and the next moment, he sank into the ground. Looking at Lin Yi who suddenly disappeared in front of him, Luther was startled. But soon he felt a little excited. The more mysterious Lin Yi is, the higher the possibility of solving the troubles of Blackstone Group. That also means that his old employer will be saved from this disaster, and his job can be saved. Under the Blackstone Group, I don't know how many people rely on this huge tree for a living. If the tower falls, I don't know how many people will go bankrupt. Take a deep breath, and there is a trace of expectation and uneasiness in his eyes. At this time, Lin Yi calmly passed through the underground soil layer through True Destiny and True Destiny Daeja, and came to the basement of Steam Group. No material or power can stop him. When he stepped into the basement, he appeared in a warehouse. There is no one here, and there is no surveillance. The True Destiny Daeja has reached its limit and began to scan the specific situation of the entire basement. The patrolling people appeared in his eyes one by one. Almost all of them are martial arts masters of Chongding or Guanti level, and there are 3 masters of Rengxiandao level. And all of them are fully armed, with both light and heavy weapons, guarding a vital road. All the outer walls of this basement are made of 3-meter thick reinforced concrete. It is almost impossible to enter here by digging a tunnel. There are even various mysterious forbidden methods engraved inside the basement here, which can prevent unknown beings from entering. Double interception from the physical level and the soul level can be said to be protected to the teeth. However, this is only for ordinary practitioners, and it does not pose any threat to Lin Yi. He was shining with the light of true destiny, and walked directly in these reinforced concrete. Step by step, he walked into the safe guarded by these people. It took about a few minutes, and he had passed through the airtight safe and entered the interior. He saw neatly stacked gold bricks, at least more than 10 tons, covering a gold mountain of dozens of square meters. Just looking at him showed a glimmer of hope, and the symbol of dollar flashed in his eyes. A desire for money surged in his heart. This idea spread in his mind like bamboo shoots after rain, and even attacked his reason. However, the light of the divine jade lotus shone again, allowing him to quickly get out of this state. A trace of vigilance appeared in his eyes. The ghost fairy way is really troublesome. You must be vigilant against the outbreak of the inner demon at any time and anywhere. He shook his head, his eyes flashing with the light of the true destiny, and quickly scanned the entire safe. There are many boxes here containing various rare items. Gems, jewelry, accessories, and some items that look very old, filled with the breath of time and history. Soon he found a box with a file bag. He walked over a few steps, opened the box directly, and took out the file bag inside. After carefully reading it, he can be sure that this is the contract that constitutes a trap. He smiled slightly. The first task is completed. As he said that, his eyes looked at one of the boxes piled here. Inside was a necklace inlaid with hundreds of gems of various colors. The value of those gems alone is probably more than tens of thousands of red lotus gold coins. He couldn't leave with too many things, but the value of this necklace was enough for his vote. After putting away the necklace and the contract, Lin Yi looked up. The light of the true destiny Daoji quickly captured a huge breath. The leader of the Steam Group, Bai Long. After locking the target, Lin Yi held the destruction cane in his right hand, and the figure of the earth seal in his left hand had already appeared. The true destiny root, the power of the soul, and the essence were running at the same time, and the earth seal in his hand became pitch black. It turned into a delicate little mountain, and the power contained in it was very heavy. Once it exploded, it would be a shocking force. After making preparations, Lin Yi turned and walked into the reinforced concrete. Step by step, he went to the top of this building. The headquarters of the Steam Group, in the open-air villa on the top floor. Bai Long was wearing his silk nightgown, sitting on a swaying bed, with his legs crossed. He looked at the sky, looked down at the city below, held a glass of mellow wine in his right hand, and a cigar as thick as a thumb in his left hand, and looked very comfortable. After tomorrow, the industrial city will be under his control. He will become the uncrowned king here, and no one can oppose him or question him anymore. He will control all the wealth generated by the city, and at the same time wipe out his old rival forever. This excitement kept him awake in the middle of the night, and he didn't even want to practice at all. Wake up to the power of the world, and lie drunk on the knees of a beauty. He, this is the taste of power and wealth. Bai Long's face showed a trace of intoxication, looking at the city in front of him. This place will soon become a place under his control, and decades of long-cherished wishes will finally come true. He didn't notice that a figure appeared silently behind him. There was no breath fluctuation, like an illusory ghost. Lin Yi did not intend to confront the leader of the steam group head-on. True destiny is boundless. In addition to being able to ignore all restraints, it can also eliminate all of one's own aura. This ability is perfect for sneak attacks. A faint black aura emerged from the destruction cane, which was a strange power that destroyed everything. When Lin Yi came behind Bai Long, he slowly raised the destruction cane and stabbed it towards Bai Long's head. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 445. At this time, the destruction cane was covered by the spiritual wave of the true destiny, and no trace of it flowed out when it stabbed towards Bai Long's head. Even when the destruction cane pierced into Bai Long's head, the other party still did not notice anything. At this time, Lin Yi suddenly dispersed the power of the true destiny. Bai Long felt the uncontrollable fear and danger in an instant, and he was about to stand up on the spot. I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow. But the destruction cane was already in his head. The moment the light of the true destiny disappeared, the power of the destruction cane exploded directly in Bai Long's head. His body only had time to stiffen slightly, and then his head was directly destroyed by the power of the destruction cane, turning into countless black ashes. A false light rushed out of his broken head, and a desperate and angry voice sounded in Lin Yi's mind. "Who is it? I'm going to kill you, ah!" This is a roar of resentment and anger. Facing the arrival of death, no one can remain calm. Lin Yi killed Bai Long's body, but Bai Long's soul is not dead yet. A body condensed by 7 souls looked at Lin Yi with anger and resentment. A bright palm-sized sword light flew out from this illusory body. The sword light that slashed straight at Lin Yi tore the air, bringing a pure white light, but containing infinite murderous intent. There were countless energies in the air around him that gathered towards the sword light, and the fierce murderous aura had completely enveloped Lin Yi. Lin Yi could feel that the power of the magic weapon controlled by the soul alone was actually about the same as the power of the magic weapon he controlled. A black light flew from his left hand and hit the white sword light. The bravest will win when two meet on a narrow road, and Lin Yi's magic weapon is the blessing of all his own power, far surpassing the opponent's magic weapon, which is only blessed by the power of soul. At the moment of collision, black and white light exploded at the same time. The white light exploded into countless fragments and flew around. The black light continued to surge, bringing a huge pressure, covering Bai Long's 7 souls. His magic weapon was shattered by a blow, and Bai Long's eyes showed horror. Without any hesitation, he turned around and flew madly to the distance. But at the moment he turned around, a figure appeared in front of him silently. The destruction cane had instantly pierced into his 7 souls. The power of the destruction cane spread to his whole body in an instant. Bai Long's face was frozen in disbelief. He had no idea when the person in front of him was behind him, waiting for him to turn around. He was a master of the Ghost Immortal Dao level, but he died here silently. His heart was full of unwillingness and resentment. The imperial ambitions, everything is in vain, there is no hope. At this time, the earth-suppressing seal also enveloped his 7 souls. Then he disappeared in a black light, turning into a little light. Just now, Lin Yi used the space-time canvas. He knew that his magic weapon was powerful and would definitely defeat the opponent's magic weapon. At that time, Bai Long's only way to survive was to turn around and escape. He seized the opportunity at that moment and came behind the opponent. At the moment when the opponent turned around and flew away, the long-prepared destruction cane would pierce into the opponent's body. It looked like the opponent hit the destruction cane himself. After solving the problem of Bai Long, Lin Yi took back his earth-suppressing seal and showed a faint smile in his eyes. The contract is completed, and my experiment will begin next. The light of the true destiny solution flashed around him, and the next moment he had suddenly sunk and disappeared in the building of the steam group. At this time, the huge sound produced by the collision between Lin Yi's magic weapon and Bai Long's magic weapon had alarmed many people. A series of footsteps were coming towards the sky villa on the top floor. At this time, Lin Yi was like an illusory figure, and returned to Luther's back in just 1 minute. Luther was looking at the direction of the steam group building with a nervous face. He didn't notice that Lin Yi had returned to his back without knowing when. Snap! A light pat landed on Luther's shoulder, and the other party's body stiffened instantly. Then he suddenly turned around and punched behind him. But a hand calmly held his fist, making his punch useless. And only then did Luther see who was behind him. His face changed drastically. "Sir, is it you?" "Sorry, I thought I was discovered." Lin Yi could not deny it, and said casually, "Okay, let's go back. Bai Long has been dealt with, and I have also obtained the contract and documents." As he said that, he showed the paper bag in his right hand, and a smile appeared on his face. Looking at the file bag, Lu's pupils shrank. Just now, a light and explosion appeared above the building, and he knew that Lin Yi might have taken action. But he didn't expect that the other party would return to him in just 1 minute, which made him a little confused. Although he had doubts in his mind, he didn't say anything, but just said, "Sir, please follow me." Under Luther's leadership, Lin Yi and him quickly disappeared here. They soon returned to the place where the carriage stopped at the beginning. The coachman was still waiting for their return here. After the two got on the carriage sped away from here and headed towards the headquarters of the Blackstone Group. At this time, at the headquarters of the steam group, an alarm had already sounded, and everyone was in a panic. The fully armed steam group personnel had already come to the Sky Villa to search. They discovered the disappearance of Bai Long and the ashes on Bai Long's seat. No matter how you look at it, Bai Long has a big problem, especially since they also saw some magic weapon fragments. All this seems to have been caused by a battle. The few people in charge of security in the steam group all looked solemn, looked at each other, and showed a trace of fear. To be able to kill the steam group's top master in such a short time. How powerful is the opponent? Just thinking about it makes you feel terrified. Everyone's heart is heavy, and they don't know what to do. One of them took a deep breath and said slowly, "Notify all shareholders immediately and hold an emergency shareholders meeting. The chairman may be dead. Now we need the board of directors to run the company, ensure the stability of the company, and elect a new chairman." An incident quickly spread in the steam group, and turmoil was inevitable. At this time, Lin Yi had already leisurely sat in the carriage and returned to the Blackstone mansion with Luther. In the garden of the Blackstone mansion, Lin Yi sat quietly here, and Kuroiri beside him looked at the document in his hand and nodded with satisfaction. "Sir, this document is real, and now our Blackstone group can get rid of this trap." You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 446. Lin Yi nodded slightly. "I have dealt with Bai Long, you will get the news soon, and you have to deal with the rest yourself." Taiwan Novel Network. Rightward arrow. Our contract is officially completed, and from now on you are my servant. He Lui trembled slightly when he heard this, and then said with a serious face, "Don't worry, sir, I know what to do." "What do you need me to do?" Lin Yi had the mother bell of the acacia bell in his hand and placed it on the stone table in front of him. You bury this thing in an open space in the city, preferably an open space on a street. It doesn't need to be crowded, as long as there is a certain amount of traffic. The area of the open space is about 200 square meters. With the strength of your Blackstone group, it shouldn't be difficult. Hey Louis said immediately after hearing this, "Sir, this is no problem. It's not difficult. Our group has hundreds of suitable places. Although there are still buildings in some places, we can demolish them at any time and turn them into open space." Lin Yi nodded. "Remember, you have to bury this thing yourself, don't use anyone else's hands. At the same time, you have to protect its existence and don't allow anyone to take it away." Hearing Lin Yi's request, He Lui nodded, with a hint of solemnity in his eyes. "Sir, please rest assured, this is the first task you have assigned, and I will do my best to complete it." Lin Yi looked at He Lui, whose power level was the second level of the human immortal way at this time. After thinking for a while, he walked over and said to her, "Sit here and don't move. I want you to enter the peak of the third level of the human immortal path directly." He Lui was stunned when she heard this, but she immediately sat on the chair in front of the stone table as he said. At this time, Lin Yi's hand was on her shoulder. It seemed that she had never been touched by a man before. He Lui's muscles contracted slightly and her whole body was a little nervous. The next moment, the True Destiny solution and the True Destiny root worked at the same time, and the green light penetrated into He Lui's body. "You have completed the most important energy accumulation process of the human immortal path. The next second and third levels of the human immortal are actually not bottlenecks, but the cultivation of control power. I will help you complete all these procedures directly. Don't have any resistance." Hearing this, the essence in He Lui's body began to change dramatically. In just a few minutes, it experienced all kinds of wonderful changes and turned into a golden pill, which was the pill of the great power Vajraseal method. At the same time, this golden pill once again turned into the power attribute of He Lui's original practice. The true life source can not only act on oneself, but also on others. It is a bug-level ability that completely breaks the routine. However, this is the first time that Lin Yi has used the power of the different spirit sutra on other people's bodies. But Lin Yi knows that it will succeed. This is the horror of the true life source, which is beyond imagination. After doing everything, Kuri woke up from the shock. She could feel everything that happened in her body just now. But it was because she felt the changes that she dared to feel fear. This has completely surpassed her physical cognition and is already a means to subvert common sense. At this moment, Lin Yi's mystery once again stood tall in her heart and rose to an unknown level. After doing all this, Lin Yi calculated that about 50% of the spiritual waves were consumed. This consumption is acceptable. Wait until Brandy completes the first stage of the original accumulation. Also help him to reach the third level of the human immortal path in one breath. But he has to polish his spirit next. I can't help them with this. After doing all this, Lin Yi stood in front of He Lui. "Do what I tell you to do. You must remember that you are my servant now. If you disobey my orders, the result is that you will die. This is a kind of constraint that is close to the law and the truth of nature. If you want to try it, you can try it." Facing Lin Yi's indifferent words, a trace of fear rose in He Lui's heart. She took a deep breath and said, "Don't worry, sir, I will not forget my identity." Lin Yi nodded, "I hope so. Most of the time, humans like to make mistakes the most, and always feel that they have other choices. Only when they are desperate will they regret it. I hope you don't do this." After the warning, an illusory red door slowly appeared behind Lin Yi. It changed from virtual to real, just like a real door. Lin Yi turned around, pushed open the door, and walked in. As the door closed, the red door quickly became illusory and finally disappeared. Watching all this, Kurori felt an unprecedented awe in her heart. Facing an unknown powerful existence, awe is the best choice. Her eyes fell on the acacia mother bell on the stone table, and she immediately planned to complete what Lin Yi had told her to do. At this time, a man who seemed to be a butler quickly came over. "Miss, Bai Long is dead. The board of directors of the Steam Group is urgently meeting to elect a new chairman, and our people have leaked the news." Hearing this, He Lui's eyes showed a hint of murderous intent. "Immediately mobilize our troops and forces to take back the industries and territories that were robbed from us." The housekeeper showed a hint of excitement on his face. "Yes, miss." Looking at the housekeeper who left, He Lui's snow-white slender fingers tightly grasped the acacia mother bell in her hand. Turned and entered the mansion, and began to prepare to complete Lin Yi's task. Lin Yi, who returned to the Wanchaiwu, suddenly changed his expression, lowered his head and took out a pile of black ashes from his arms. It was a box of jewelry necklaces he brought from the opposite world. Originally, he wanted to exchange these jewelry necklaces for money in this world. But now after he returned, these things turned into ashes, and it looked wrong. What is this? What's going on? Lin Yi's eyes showed countless doubts. Maybe it's the laws and conflicts of the world. It seems that it's a wrong choice to rashly take things from another world into this world. I can enter the other world because of the power of the Wish Shrine. I reached an agreement with the existence of the other world and established a certain connection. And this connection can prevent me from being expelled or destroyed by the other world. If I use the acacia bell, it is equivalent to re-establishing a new connection. Kurori and I have a master-servant contract, and I gave him the acacia mother bell. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 447. When I return with the sub-bell, this protection should spread to all the people inside the Wanchaiwu. But it must be an existence related to me. If it is not related, I am afraid it will be destroyed by the power of the opposite world in the first place. Thinking of this, Lin Yi already had the answer in his heart. He couldn't wait to take out the acacia sub-bell. Through the only core of all things, the spiritual wave and the mind were connected to the sub-bell at the same time. In an illusory spiritual level, he saw a dazzling light, which was reflected by the sub-bell in his hand. A kind of looming feeling, as long as he wanted, it seemed that he could go directly to the opposite world. Sensing this scene, a hint of surprise appeared in his eyes. Sure enough, my idea is correct. Since this thing can ignore time and space, it can also cross the boundary. Thinking of this, he came to the second floor in a few steps and integrated the acacia sub-bell in his hand into the corridor on the second floor. The next moment, he felt the power of the acacia sub-bell spread to the entire Wanchaiwu. From the backyard of the first and second floors to the basement, everything was covered. Through the strange core, he could feel that once he activated the acacia bell, the entire Wanchaiwu will follow him to the mysterious world opposite under the effect of the acacia bell. And all the lives and strange things in the Wanchaiwu are shrouded by the power of this bell. Oh oh oh. The outside world suddenly heard the sound of roosters crowing, the sky gradually brightened, and another night passed slowly. Looking at the sky outside, Lin Yi said to himself, the biggest crisis has finally been resolved, at least there is a way out. Lin Yi will not be careless about the global crisis, although he is just the manager of a Wanchaiwu. But the Chinese people's thinking of danger in times of peace still made him think of a way out. At this time in a mysterious high-end club, Xingyuezi held the Earth Spirit Pill and sang Guang Zhenshui prepared by the 14 people of the Mutual Aid Association in front of him, and a look of joy appeared in his eyes. Okay, since everyone is so sincere, I won't hide it. This is what happened. About half an hour later, Xingyuezi quietly left here. He didn't even plan to stay in Honglian City for long, and went to the secret base he prepared. Regardless of the success or failure of this matter, he would take the most important step first, and then ask about it again. The strategy of killing 3 birds with 1 stone, no matter what the result is, he has already got 1 bird, and the next thing to do is to wait. If these people fail, then after he steps into the earth immortal way, he will personally take action to complete the final finishing work. It must be said that Xuanhuan is also a decisive person in killing. After making a decision, he will not drag his feet at all. The 14 figures who got the news came to the outside of the Wanqi house quietly. They need to observe the target first, so they gathered here. Their relationship is cooperation, and they have already signed a strict contract, and no one will violate it. However, the person they are going to deal with is a person who has practiced the legendary skills, so it is not too cautious. At this time, another person also came nearby. An existence filled with the peak aura of the ghost immortal Dao, with a faint 5-element brilliance flowing through his body, seemed to be nurturing something great. This person is an elder of the 5 Elements sect, Xuanhuan. He is the elder of the punishment hall of the 5 Elements sect, specializing in dealing with the deaths of 5 Elements sect members, as well as the rules and other issues within the sect. The specific news of Hungfa's death was obtained from Cryan. The 5 Elements sect sent him out as soon as possible to investigate the details of the entire incident. If everything is true, then this mysterious detective, the owner of the Wanqiwu Linyi, must pay the price of blood. At the same time, the deputy general manager of the black-clothed man also appeared quietly in the hotel opposite the Wanqiwu. He rented a room in a secret identity. He looked at the Wanqiwu with a playful look, and a mysterious brilliance like a vortex flashed in his eyes. The world in his eyes seemed to have turned into a black and white color, spying on all the information of the Wanqiwu. When Xuanhuan entered Honglian City, he had already received the news and rushed here as soon as possible. As long as Lin Yi was killed, he would immediately quietly take the Tianjing. However, when he observed the Wanqiwu, he discovered a mysterious phenomenon. A faint space-time distortion enveloped the entire Wanqiwu. Combined with the previous information, he immediately knew what was going on. This guy is really bold. He turned the entire Wanqiwu into a weird illusion. A hint of interest appeared in his eyes. It seems that this guy has a lot of good things in his hands. The degree of space-time distortion in this weird environment has reached the power of the 4th level weird illusion. According to the information records, he only got the 5th level weird illusion. How long has it been promoted to the 4th level? This effect can only be produced by at least 10 weird objects. Where did he get these weird objects? No, there is something wrong with this person. He is definitely not as simple as he seems on the surface. He must have another identity behind the scenes. The Deputy Director General is very perceptive. He is a level of Earth Immortal, not just in the practice of cultivation. Even in terms of the power of the weird side, he has stepped into this level. At the same time, it is precisely because of his profound attainments in the weird side. He is more sensitive to the power of weird things, and soon noticed that something is wrong with the Wanqiwu. A trace of solemnity appeared in his eyes. This is better. If this person from the 5 Elements sect died inside, the 5 Elements sect would definitely send more people. Hatred is a good thing. It will continue to attract more people to join this hatred until one side is completely dead. Borrowing a knife to kill is always the best strategy, without having to face the danger personally. It's a pity that there are always so many stupid people in this world who personally take the knife into battle. Seemingly feeling very confident and intoxicated with his own strategy, the Deputy General Manager showed a morbid smile on his face. At this time, Lin Yi didn't know that there were so many people outside the Wanqiwu who were staring at this place. He had returned to his bedroom to rest. After all, he hadn't slept for a night, and he had to practice for at least an hour to recover all his energy. In a blink of an eye, it was 9 o'clock in the morning. Customers came to the Wanqiwu to buy breakfast takeaway. Lin Yi woke up from his meditation, and his spirit and physical strength were restored to their peak. He sat casually in his old seat and glanced at the three people from Absinthe who were busy. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 448. Brandy, give me half a pound of steak, and you can take care of the side dishes for the rest. Brandy nodded and said, Okay, manager, wait a moment. He then quickly began to prepare Lin Yi's breakfast. At this moment, Lin Yi, who had just sat in front of the French window, frowned. He imitated Brandy's talent and suddenly activated it without any conditions. A wave of crisis began to spread from his skin and extended to his mind. An invisible threat enveloped him, giving him goosebumps all over his body. It was a threat that could cause a person to fall into death, which was very dangerous. Instantly, his heart skipped a beat, and he suddenly understood what was going on. Someone is watching me, and it can cause great danger to my life. He still maintained a lazy expression on his face, without any change, as if he did not notice any danger. But the light of the true destiny was shining in his eyes. He looked out of the French window with a look of looking at the scenery, with a faint smile on his face. He seemed to be enjoying the busy streets outside. But Lin Yi was searching for the source of danger with all his strength. The 14 mysterious people in the Mutual Aid Association were scattered in various buildings on the street outside the Wanchaiwu. But they could see the interior of the Wanchaiwu through the floor-to-ceiling windows, and even stared at Lin Yi. Soon Brandy brought Lin Yi's breakfast. Lin Yi turned his head and enjoyed his delicious meal while constantly scanning the outside. He carefully observed every corner and every building outside. The more he watched, the more frightened he was. He found 16 ghost immortals and above, and a huge pressure enveloped him. His eyes naturally saw the true face and nature of these people. Good guy, 15 are masters from the sect, and 1 is an acquaintance. It turned out to be the deputy head of the black-clothed man, who came in person. Look at the posture of these people, they are all monitoring the Wanchaiwu. Why? There was an indescribable vigilance in his eyes, and Lin Yi felt that there must be something wrong. Damn it, no matter how I look at it, someone is plotting against me. Not to mention the appearance of the deputy general manager, I'm afraid it's for the heavenly crystal. Among the 15 sect members outside, one of them has completely stepped into the peak of the ghost immortal Deo, and is practicing the 5 elements sex skills. And the vitality in his body is different from the other 14 people, and he is a bit old. It seems to be related to Hungfa's death. Plus the deputy general manager is here. Is he killing someone with a borrowed knife? With his power, he naturally knows the truth of the whole thing, and revealed it to the people of the 5 elements sect, letting them kill me. After that, he will steal the heavenly crystal. As long as he doesn't do it himself, no one cares. It can't be him, and there is no evidence that he tipped off the 5 elements sect, so no one will investigate him who is in a high position and has great power. How vicious, these big guys are really dogskin plasters, don't mess with them. Once you provoke them, there will be endless trouble, unless you can kill them with one blow. It's a pity that I can't do this kind of thing, at least at the moment. But why are the other 14 masters from other sects here? They are not old, and their bodies are full of vitality. Is there something here that can arouse their interest? After unraveling the deputy director's means, Lin Yi can accurately analyze it. But he has no clue about the other 14 people. These people are all masters of the ghost immortal Deo level, and each of them is very young, about 20 to 30 years old. This age is basically a genius disciple in the sect. Why are they targeting me? There is definitely something wrong here. I have to find out the truth. But with so many troubles coming at the same time, they probably won't come hard in the daytime because of the face of the Red Lotus Empire. As long as they don't come openly, everything can still be turned around. But we must also prepare for the worst, once these people attack violently. I must move the Wanchaiwu immediately. With a backup plan in mind, Lin Yi quickly finished his breakfast today. At the same time, one of the 14 people from the Mutual Aid Association came out from the secret observation area. This man was wearing an exquisite white suit, and his whole body was filled with a faint cold and arrogant aura. He is the disciple of the Bihan Tiangong of the sect Wang Dongming. It can be said that he is one of the top 3 people among the disciples of the Bihan Tiangong generation. But at this time, his face has been modified, and no one can see what kind of face he has under the skin. The Mutual Aid Association is a hidden association, and no one knows each other's details. Everyone was well prepared and wore a different face. At this time, Wang Dongming came to Lin Yi's Wanchaiwu with this unfamiliar face. He came this time after everyone discussed and decided. First courtesy, then force. They had the numbers, and they were not afraid of Lin Yi. And they could see that Lin Yi's specific cultivation was only the first level of the Ghost Immortal Dao. As long as he took action, it would definitely be a crushing level, and no miracle would happen. But this is the Red Lotus Empire after all, and they don't want to do it if they can avoid it. After all, directly challenging the face of the Red Lotus Empire is not a good thing. So he came with a great momentum, and almost no one could bear the pressure of 14 sects. He didn't believe that a mere owner of a handyman shop would dare to defy them. That would be the result of seeking death. Thinking of this, a cold smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. Ringing. The sound of the welcome bell rang, and a figure walked in. With his arrival, the air seemed to cool down. The eyes of the store clerks and customers involuntarily fell on him. A man in a white exquisite suit, with black and shiny hair, a standard gentleman's hairstyle, and a handsome face. People can tell at a glance that he is from a big family. Born with a high-handed temperament, this is something that ordinary people can't pretend. Taking a deep breath, Lin Yi's eyes showed a trace of solemnity. He naturally recognized who this man was, one of the 16 people observing him outside. After the other party entered the Wanchaiwu, his eyes fell directly on Lin Yi, and he walked over with a faint and proud smile. "Hello, can I sit opposite you?" Lin Yi looked at him and nodded. "Of course, this is a public place, you can sit anywhere." Wang Dongming sat elegantly opposite Lin Yi. He looked at Lin Yi and said, "You are Lin Yi, the manager of Wanchaiwu, right? You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 449. Lin Yi nodded and said calmly, "Yes, I am Lin Yi. Let me guess what you are here for." Before Wang Dongming could speak, Lin Yi looked at his face and said calmly, "You are probably from Bihan Tiangong, right? There are 14 people from different sects outside. Judging from your cultivation and age, you are probably the younger generation in the section. You came here together and observed me outside for more than an hour. There must be something about me that attracted you. After all, I have no grudges against you. It seems meaningless to say that you are here to kill me." Lin Yi had a smile on his lips, and he leaned slightly on the sofa, looking at Wang Dongming with a half-smile on his face. At this time, Wang Dongming was extremely shocked, and the calmness on his face could not be held back. The other party actually discovered them so early, and even told their number clearly. This method frightened him a little. But he quickly calmed down, and suddenly smiled and said, as expected of the owner of the Wanchaiwu, "It's better to meet you in person than to hear about you. You are really amazing. You actually discovered us so early. Since you already know, why not speak frankly? We want the heaven and earth Qinqin Wang Xiangfa in your hand." Hearing this, Lin Yi was stunned. The heaven and earth Qinqin Wang Xiangfa. What is that? Why do you think this thing is in my possession? Wang Dongming looked at Lin Yi's confused face, smiled slightly and said, Mr. Lin, don't hide it. You have obtained the heaven and earth Qincan Wangxiang Fa to grow to where you are now. We have investigated everything about you in detail. You have indeed used different skills, and they are at the level of human immortals. To do this, only the legendary long-lost skill Heaven and Earth Qincan Wangxiang Fa can do this. So your cover-up is useless to me. This time I am here on behalf of all of us to give you a final wanted notice. You have two choices now. The first choice is to teach us this technique, then we will retreat directly and will not trouble you. After all, this is the capital of the Red Lotus Empire, and we will also take into account the impact. Second, we will find a time to capture you, and then dig out this technique from your soul and brain. But it will not be a good thing for you at that time, because this kind of violent method usually has no good results. Going crazy is only the best result, and the worst result is that the soul will be scattered and you will never be reborn. Everyone practices for immortality. I hope you don't make the wrong choice. It's just a technique, we won't forbid you to practice, right? We are all very kind. Wang Dongming said with a smile of confidence on his face. Although Lin Yi took the lead and gave him a warning when he came in. But in the face of strength, this kind of show of strength is actually not very effective. It can even be said that this kind of show of strength is a sign of weakness, deliberately made to make him feel afraid. At this time, Lin Yi finally understood where all the problems were. Thinking quickly in his mind, he locked on a person at the same time. It's Xingyueze, right? He told you all this. Wang Dongming heard this and his heart moved. Xingyueze? It turned out to be him. This is unexpected news. Lin Yi's eyes were always filled with the light of the true destiny, and he instantly noticed the fluctuations in this person's head. For Lin Yi, who has watched countless people, he can roughly distinguish what the fluctuations in the human brain mean. The fluctuation of doubt and understanding, that is to say, this person didn't know who told them at the beginning. But after I said Xingyueze's name, he understood. This is really very interesting. It seems that you don't know Xingyueze either, but you believe what he says. This is very strange. You believe everything he says. I don't know if you are stupid or what. At this time, Lin Yi's face seemed to be smiling, a kind of mocking expression. He was stimulating this person to reveal more information. Wang Dongming's face suddenly sank when he heard Lin Yi's ridicule. We won't waste any more time talking nonsense. We can be sure that Xingyueze is telling the truth. He absolutely cannot lie. Otherwise he would have died long ago. So no matter whether you deny it or pretend to be stupid, we must get what we want. If you refuse, we will use force. You have no other choice. After that, Wang Dongming stood up from his seat, looked at Li Yi and said, You have 24 hours to think about it. You don't have to think about running away. No matter where you go, we will find you. Your only choice is to obediently hand over what we want. I hope you are wise enough and don't seek death. After that, Wang Donglei turned and left the Wanchaiwu. He looked like he had everything under control and was not afraid of Lin Yi doing anything. Lin Yi just watched Wang Dongming leave quietly. He knew that these people would never believe anything he said. This is really a big trouble. What on earth is the heaven and earth universe method? Thinking of this, he took out his mobile phone and searched it. But there was no information. Obviously, this method was not known to most people in the Red Lotus world. At this time, he thought about it and called someone. Beep. Hello, Lin Yi? What's the matter with you? A crisp female voice sounded. Ms. Sakuramiya, I want to consult you about something. What is it? Tell me. Do you know a cultivation method called Heaven and Earth Universe Wangxiang Fa? Hearing this name, Sakuramiya Swili's eyebrows jumped slightly on the other side of the phone. How do you know this name? Lin Yi smiled and said, there are some reasons, but it's not convenient to tell. After a silence, Sakuramiya Swali said to him, "This method is a legendary method. It is said that it can copy all the methods between heaven and earth, change its own foundation, and have incredible effects. Once in ancient times, this method appeared. It created an invincible figure, the great sage of Wangxiang. It is said that this person's method is ever-changing, hidden in one sect after another. And he can also change his appearance to imitate anyone and steal the resources of countless sections. The House of Everything I Created." Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 450. With this ability, this great sage of all things has quietly made great progress and earned resources from various sections. In the end, he reached the pinnacle of cultivation in the heavenly immortal way and became the #1 master in the world at that time, defeating countless strong men. But in the end, the mysterious great sage of all things disappeared without a trace. Writing this, I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. No one knows where he went anymore. He just left countless legends about it. One of the most important legends is that he once left behind a mysterious technique called the law of all things in heaven and earth, which was the starting point of all his achievements. But no one knows where this technique is, although countless people have claimed to have discovered it. It even caused countless wars, deaths, and treacherous conspiracies, but the final results proved that those techniques were fake. Did you get the news about this technique? Lin Yi thought for a moment and said, "That's not true. It's just that someone mentioned this technique to me, so I'm very interested. I searched on the internet and found no information about this, so I called to inquire. I hope I can get some information and answers from you. Is that so? No matter where you heard this news, you'd better be careful. All information related to the celestial way is very dangerous. No sect will ever let go of information that can lead to the path of immortality. That is the existence at the pinnacle of the spiritual path. Every one of you is faced with countless difficulties. Of the 33 sects of the cultivation path, no more than 10 can prove that they have entered the level of the celestial immortal Deo. If you are really involved in this kind of thing, I suggest you never get involved. Now, facing the true power of the sect, you are as fragile as glass, breaking at the touch of a touch." Lin Yi felt awestruck when he heard this. "Don't worry, thank you for your guidance. I don't want to get involved in this kind of thing." "Be careful," Sakuramiya Yuri said with a hint of inexplicable complexity in her eyes. After hanging up the phone, Lin Yi's face was solemn. It seems that this skill is really important, and these people will definitely not give up. Once this news starts to spread, the next person who appears in my place will not be the ghost immortal. I am afraid it will be the terrifying existence of the earth immortal. It seems that the plan to leave the Red Lotus world is on the agenda. Even if this wave of people is eliminated, there will be a second wave. If Xinyu as it is not eliminated, the trouble will not end. There was something in my heart, and a trace of weakness arose in my heart. Lin Yi has never been a fool. What kind of story was there in the past era of information explosion? What kind of history have you not seen? He understands better than anyone else the reason why a common man is innocent and possessing a jade is a crime. Even if he can defeat more than a dozen ghost immortal beings this time, can he still defeat the earthly immortal masters who are coming one after another? His foreign spiritual sutra is the foundation of everything he has, and he will never hand it over. Thinking of this, a cold light appeared in his eyes. Is it an ultimatum? If you don't come, forget it. If you come, I will harvest you as the last group of prophets. The 14 masters of the ghost immortal way, and if the people from the 5 elements sect also come, then my prophets may be even higher. Move the Wanchaiwa directly, let you die in the world conflict, and then take away your various magic weapons and items. But the problem of world conflict may destroy these and make me gain nothing, which is a bit troublesome. The questions in his mind flashed through his mind, and he couldn't help but shake his head. Be prepared, survive first, and then talk about other things. Maybe we can use other methods to delay it for a while. Lin Yi glanced outside, and at this time, the 14 figures had disappeared. After Wang Dongming met Lin Yi, these people quickly left here to prepare for the next thing. The deputy head of the hotel had a strange look in his eyes. People from the sect? Why are you looking for this Lin Yi? Did other sects also discover Lin Yi's true identity? That shouldn't be the case. Only the people in black should know about him. We still have to find him, which is only possible through internal records. The sect's hand has already been stretched so far. The deputy director obviously didn't guess why these people came. If you are really here for revenge, then maybe there will be a good show to watch. Su Wuzi, the elder of the Five Elements sect, has been staring at the Wanchaiwu from a secret corner outside. Two dark red lights flashed in his eyes, which seemed to be a wonderful Taoist method. There was a look of surprise on his face from time to time, as if he had seen something in this house of things. This house of everything has something to do with strange phenomena. With such a strong mysterious power, this guy may really be the mastermind behind the entire case. Maybe he is the sword of the empire, but not necessarily. All of this is self-directed and staged in order to suppress the section. The elder of the Five Elements sect had a thoughtful expression on his face. Next, go directly to the door and kill this person? Or maybe talk to him. If he is willing to become a witness in this case, it will be a huge good thing for the section. Then we can unite with other sects to put pressure on the empire. With evidence, the empire cannot deny it. Then we will be able to get more benefits. When this person is used up, we can get rid of him. Thinking of this, Su Wuzi was very satisfied with his idea. He could avenge his fellow sect members and make full use of this person's surplus value. After he had an idea, he walked out of the corner and went straight into the Wanchaiwu. The bell rang, and Lin Yi looked at the person who came in. Su Wuzi was wearing a strange robe, but the strange thing was that other people in the store seemed to have not seen him at all. Including absinthe, vodka, and others, they did not notice his existence at all. Only Lin Yi could notice his existence, which made him reveal a trace of solemnity in his eyes. Lin Yi's eyes could naturally see why this was the case. This person's appearance was filled with a faint light, and he performed a certain Taoist method. This Taoist method can block the eyes of others and make this person completely invisible. Su Wuzi came to Lin Yi casually, and looked at Lin Yi's gaze, and felt a little dignified. Sure enough, he is capable of seeing me. It seems that I have to be more careful, this guy is not so easy to fool. Originally, Su Wuzi planned to come to Lin Yi quietly and then release his Taoism. He came to him in a mysterious manner, causing oppression and attack on Lin Yi's mind.